Welcome to Honcho on the Air, a podcast that brings you the latest talks and the latest trends in business, technology, innovation, and the candid side of C-level executives. Each week on this season, we explore topics and issues on human resources, management, leadership, HR technology, recruiting, talent management, organizational culture, and strategic HR.
Honcho on the Air is sponsored by Aces Business. Trust the expert. Now back to the show.
Our guest today is Michelle Rubio. She is the Chief Human Resource Officer of UnionBank of the Philippines, awarded the 2018 CHRO of the Year, Silver Stevie, and a certified professional Scrum Master. She will be talking to us all about innovative and modern HR function. Hi, Michelle, and thank you for joining us.
Hi, Claire. Pleased to meet you.
Nice to meet you too, and thanks for giving us some of your time to enlighten us. First, let's talk about innovation. And how do you think innovation improved certain aspects of the industry? We can start with recruitment.
Yeah, I think overall innovation is really required from every business professional leader today because the world is changing fast and we can see that technology is driving that. And in the area of HR, it's the same from all aspects of HR work, from recruitment down to offboarding. We have recognized that many areas actually require the HR to be more innovative in terms of approach. So for recruitment, there are already various technologies that are being adopted in the area of digital recruitment. Whereas before, we really relied on interviews. We still do today, but we now have technologies that looks at the use of AI to actually filter the selection of candidates and make sure that the interview bias is eliminated from the equation. So this allows for better selection of candidates as well as improving the productivity of the recruiter because recruitment takes time. And apart from sourcing the candidate, you need to be able to go through several resumes and you got to study these resumes. You've got to call people to be interviewed and then you got to talk to people and finally make that decision. Some of this work is now done by an AI solution. And that I think is a technological innovation that's being done by many organizations today.
Any tools that you use in particular that helps you with recruitment or more like digital recruitment these days?
Yeah, we do have tools. And I would say that this is not just recruitment, but I would like to point out that we used to be working with legacy big tools that we would get off the shelf. But because UnionBank is more in the digital sphere, we decided to create our own HR app, which we call Rubio Hub. And we have developers designing the solution for us from recruitment down to offboarding. So we do have an app which is used internally and it's intended for many things, it also includes self-service features. So if you wanna avail of your benefits, take a loan, you want to invest, this all appears in the app and you just have to use your mobile to actually avail of the services.
Okay, let's move on to learning and development onboarding. Something that's what I understand is very important for each organization, the learning especially. So tell us more about that.
So obviously, learning is something constant, and we strongly believe in capability building because as the organization or the business evolves, your people have to evolve as well. And we do make investments in training or teching up, skilling up our people. So, in that sense, while it used to be that our main focus was about banking, when we decided to transform digitally, we did not take away learning and development in terms of teaching people how to do banking, but we overlaid it with core capabilities required for digital, as well as digital capabilities, an overlay of digital capabilities related to specific domains such as data science, blockchain, AI, machine learning, and the likes. So we do have that curriculum in the bank where employees can actually skill up themselves. And the big shift was that moving things from face-to-face classroom and innovating so that we have a platform where people, employees can just access content, learning course online and actually collaborate on projects online because some of these have capstone projects as a requirement, take tests online, and so on and so forth. So it's very different nowadays, and I think it lends for faster content distribution and consumption. And you can learn 24/7 by 7 because it's now digital. You don't have to wait for a class to be organized.
Correct,
There.
correct. How are people, in your opinion, responding to this new type of learning process? Are you encountering any challenges?
Actually, no. It's very important to actually create a culture where people value development and career growth. So in the bank, we have programs like My Career, My Performance, where you are empowered to actually move towards the direction you want in terms of your professional life and your career. And you are empowered to take the appropriate course to skill yourself and to develop yourself towards a certain career direction or goal. This has a lot to do with self-directed development, kind of empowerment. And so by building that culture, people have actually taken these courses from banking, digital core to digital domain courses by themselves. And it's really a joy. Now, we also support employees by actually saying you all these opportunities are available to you, and all you need to do is grab these opportunities. It's there and it's up to you, right? Success is really up to you because we're not stopping anyone from developing themselves. We even have this line, and maybe you've heard about this before, but our president and CEO, Edwin Bautista, would always say in many of his talks, and he has been quoted, that no one gets left behind. So in the digital sphere, it could be very intimidating. And when we shifted there, we said to every employee that we will take you along with us. We will help you tech up so that when the time comes that we need to be shifting our operating model and the way we work and the way we access tools and do more things digitally, you will be prepared because this is the course required to learn that. And all you need to do is spend time and take this course, apply it. Somebody will help you if you have questions. And then it helps. It really
Right.
helps people perform. And that has been one of the areas we really focus on during our digital transformation journey. And we are transforming still. So we're not yet done, but it has
It's a
been
process, it's
a
a journey.
process. It's
It's
a journey.
also a learning, right, process and journey. Now, how about talent? How is innovation improved, or how is innovation enhancing the way you deal with talents?
Interesting. And so now that we're a bit more mature in the usage of digital tools, we are getting more sophisticated in terms of data science. So in HR itself, there's a lot of data that you can get from just the employees' data sets. And
Mhm.
of course, we can do visualization on the demographic data, but we can also do predictive on the data. Talent analytics is very important because it allows us to get insights on a number of things, like what is the success profile of what kind of people do we hire based on the success profile of existing employees. So we can predict that. We can also predict if a person would most likely leave, for example. And we want to know whether engagement is impacted by various drivers or employee experiences. So we are in the process of answering those questions by building on the data that we have and the data that we continue to acquire.
Mhm. And of course, mhm.
Yeah, yeah. I wanted to add that because of that, the skill set of HR, at least the people I work with, are also evolving. So it's really not unusual in my team that you find data scientists among members of HR. So they're really becoming more hybrid talents. And
Uh-huh.
we actually also have a couple of HR officers here who can code in blockchain. So really interesting, and they're constantly finding use cases to apply this learning.
Honcho on the Air is sponsored by Globe Labs. Redefine possibilities. Like what you hear so far? Make sure you never miss a show by clicking the follow button now. This podcast is made possible by listeners like you. Thank you for your support. Now back to the show.
What about performance management? That's a huge part of HR, I would say. Talk to us more about that. How are you enhancing that at this point of time?
Earlier on, before the program, we talked about this qualification of mine being certified as a Scrum Master. In fact, we have hundreds of Scrum Masters in the bank. So I'm not the only one. It's not special anymore, but I had to
But
take
it's a skill.
skill at the beginning because we move into an agile operating model. To give context to the discussion, agile means you release product features and solutions in increments, and usually it's 2 weeks to 4 weeks. So we innovate our product and solution offerings every 2 to 4 weeks. So in order to do that, so that you can run fast, you need to have a cross-functional team, which is actually called a squad. We call it a squad, and it's headed by a product manager or a product owner. In that squad, although we do have a hierarchical organization, a formal organization, whenever we have to innovate on a product or service, we morph into teams, cross-functional teams, and that team has a mission. And they apply the Scrum principles and their agile ways of working to deliver these products and services. What does that have to do with performance management? Our performance management had also evolved from just a single rater to a multi-rater approach, because if I'm part of a squad, I do have a domain leader to report to, for example, HR, but
Mhm.
an HR person can actually be part of a squad too, right?
Mhm.
Performing a role to deliver that mission. And
Mhm.
if I am in that space, I get to be also rated by the product owner. All of these
Mhm.
are factored into the performance of the individual. And remember the app that I talked about that we built, it captures that data and actually aggregates into a final rating.
Mhm. Michelle, could you give us examples of some of those strategies that you feel were very successful that made HR innovative?
What are the strategies? I think number one, always look at HR as an enabler of high performance, as a partner of business, and you also try to, as HR, balance the interests of all stakeholders. But essentially, it's crafting a people strategy that is relevant to the organization and the business goals that organization it needs to deliver. What are the strategies that I always go to whenever I to make sure that that situation is like that we as HR always add value to the organization? You need to be knowledgeable of the business. And secondly, you must be prepared to evolve and innovate on what you're doing. Find the structures and systems, create the structures and systems to shape the organization and the individuals according to that certain standard or goal. And thirdly, it's to make sure people are engaged. And last but not the least, the most important thing of all is ensuring that you build a culture that goes beyond personalities, that actually sets the organization up for enduring greatness.
Earlier, we were talking about because of changes required in today's times, it's important to be dynamic and innovative. How do you think can HR be competent in organizations today?
I always say this, how to be more competent. It's actually about learning also every day. You have to be a learner. You can't be in HR if you're not a lifelong learner. You've got to be evolving in and be attuned to how the world is evolving too. So if the call of the world is being transformed by technology, an HR person has to be in the same plane. We don't have to learn how to code. You have to know what these shifts or these things are causing the organization. So we have to take stock and analyze. So if this is going to shift, what is it going to do to the organization, and how would I be able to respond in terms of that shift so that the people of the organization would be more prepared and would be able to deliver the requirements for the customers and for the stakeholders.
Said, Michelle, thank you so much for your time today and for sharing all your wisdom and everything that you just mentioned. We definitely learned so much. Very insightful conversation with you, Michelle. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Claire.
Thank you for joining us this week on Honcho on the Air. Make sure to visit our website, cnhr.org, where you can subscribe to us on Spotify so you'll never miss a show. While you're at it, make sure to like and subscribe to our social media pages to get the latest news and updates. Thank you, and till the next episode.